In this module, I'll teach you 6 easy ways to eliminate stage fright. If you've never stood before a crowd before, or cannot imagine yourself doing that, don't worry. I'll show you how to overcome this unfounded fear and break your mental barriers. You might not be able to grasp it yet, but I firmly believe that the ability to speak is a learnable skill and anyone can master it. Yes, even you too. Whether you're an entrepreneur or you're climbing the corporate ladder, the ability to speak confidently and influence the people around you is a vital skill to learn. Do you have a fear of public speaking? Nearly everyone does. According to the Book of Lists, public speaking is ranked as the #1 fear by its survey takers, outranking even the fear of death. Yes, you heard that right. Hard to believe, eh? No wonder so many people experience stage fright. Experts explain that the reason people feel fearful of public speaking is because of their anticipation of emotional pain and psychological stress. People define fear as the anticipation of pain. So, when people start to imagine the worst-case scenario of being humiliated, subject to deeply embarrassing moments, and how others will think of them negatively, they become fearful of it. But that's just it. Most of the time, the worst things that we imagine usually don't happen. Let me ask you this. How often have your worries been realized? However, no matter how many times our logical mind tells us about this, our emotions override our rationale. The obvious symptoms: sweaty palms, racing heartbeat, and a vivid visualization of all the worst things that can happen while you present on stage. That's when stage fright shows on your physical being, when you allow it to conquer you on a mental and emotional level. So, as you can see, you have to be in the state of flow and overcome stage fright on a mental and emotional level first. While some people may have the gift of gab, everyone else has to go through training. And the good news is that with training, you too can overcome this shortcoming. I have a set of 6 easy steps that you can follow to eliminate the stage fright syndrome. If you have yet to overcome the anxiety of speaking in public, there's no better time than now to learn this. Let's begin with the first step. To conquer the unfounded fear of speaking on stage, focus on the audience, not how you perform on stage. Always remember that the audience that comes to your presentation is more interested in your main message. Of course, how well you deliver your presentation is just as important, and it figures greatly in the grand scheme of things. But for beginners, you only need to remember your main message, not word for word. First and foremost, how you perceive yourself is more important than how others think of you. If you have a low perception of yourself, how can you expect others to hold you in high regards? Likewise, if you radiate positive energy, and energy does not lie, even the least aware person will know. The more you're familiar in public speaking, the more confident you can carry yourself. So, the second step is to get started with your first test audience. Start small. Begin your first presentation with a small group of people. Consider this your baby steps in overcoming your fear of speaking on stage. Starting off with a small group helps you build gradual confidence before you handle larger groups. Practice in front of people you trust and are familiar with, such as your family members or close friends. You don't need to kick things off with a full-length presentation. A short speech will do. When you're comfortable delivering presentations to small groups, then you can increase the audience size gradually. Raise the bar. Talk to bigger groups of people. Step 3. Accept that everyone makes mistakes. No one's born perfect. We all make mistakes, and it's only through learning that we can improve. Great speakers and teachers are not necessarily born with excellent charisma, many of them trained. They learn from their mistakes, gain experience, improve themselves, and became who they are today. Remember, if you goof up in your speeches, don't be too hard on yourself. Instead, give yourself opportunities to learn and improve. Sadly, People give up after their first attempt, especially when it's not a good experience. Then they start to avoid the opportunities to try again and stop where they made mistakes, and start filling their mind with negative thoughts and doubts. I want to assure you that any skill worth having is worth learning. So don't quit at the sight of your first setback. This leads to step 4. Replace your negative thoughts with words of encouragement. Don't forget, your audience usually has short-term memories, unless you deliver a message of impact, something we'll discuss in another module. You know that survey we talked about earlier? Did you know that those who listed public speaking as their number one fear cited the main cause an inability to handle embarrassing situations? But in reality, these humiliating moments don't stay with people for long. Not with the way information and news travels these days. Do your friends still talk about your embarrassing moments back in school today? I didn't think so. Think about it. What's the worst that can ever happen? Your speech is non-compelling, that's just about it. Now that we established that this is the worst that could happen, which really isn't much to worry about anyway, I want you to ask yourself, what are the best things that could happen to you? People rushing to the table with their credit cards out of their wallets to buy your program, standing ovations, thunderous applause, moving your audience to your command. Now these are things worth looking forward to, right? So, why spend your energy worrying about things that have less of a probability happening, when you can look forward to the greatest rewards you can reap from your seminar business? Now the 5th step. This is an important step to deal with your obvious symptoms of stage fright that gives you away in front of everyone. Not only can we convert our thoughts, but our physical behavior as well. For example, think of the pounding heartbeat and racing pulse as adrenaline rushes. It will make you feel alert and energetic. If your leg is shaking or trembling, walk around the stage to help you convey confidence and positive energy. At the same time, enroll 100% to your audience. Got a blank mind? Take a short pause and don't rush your presentation. Tell a story about a funny thing that happened recently. This gives you time to gather your thoughts back to your message, as well as brightening the mood of the audience. While I'm at it, here's an extra tip for you. Avoid cold beverages when you have a dry mouth or throat, since cold drinks constrict the throat. It can be easily remedied with a sip of warm water or tea. And finally, the last step. To boost your confidence level, recall familiar faces. It can be your family members or close friends that provide you positive energy. Or you can find a few key people among the audience that you're comfortable identifying with or feel inspired to give your best. There will always be a few among the audience on the floor that always give out motivating facial expressions or body language. You can identify them through their nods, smiles, or displays of interest. So, instead of looking at the floor or wall, look for a few key people that you find motivate you on the stage. All in all, when you get down to the bottom line, speaking on stage is not much different from your day-to-day conversation with your friends. It requires you to handle the situation better on a more emotional and personal level than ever when you go on stage to engage multiple groups of people in a single presentation. Also, let you be you. How you think of yourself comes first, before how others perceive you. So, now you know, public speaking isn't just for the extroverts and the outgoing. Everyone stands the same chance to be a superstar speaker in their own right. See you in the next module.